Hello, John from the Lib Dem Podcast here. We are delighted to say that this episode is sponsored by Praetor Reigns. Now more than ever, you need a professional-looking online presence and website. Praetor Reigns have been helping Liberal Democrat campaigns succeed for 18 years. Their Lib Dem Foci package combines a website, social media and email system to help Lib Dems win. You'll receive great support from real people, fair pricing and a huge range of features to choose from. Praetor Reigns are already the bespoke developers for Lighthouse, Lib Dem Draw Online and the LD Directory. They combine a talented system design with an unrivaled understanding of our party, our data and our systems. To find out more, check out the Praetor Reigns website at praetorreigns.co.uk/liberal-democrats. Now, on with the podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Lib Dem Podcast. My name is Owen Lambert, and today I am joined by the co-chairs of the Young Liberals, Callum Robertson and Jack Worrall. Thank you both very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
In this episode, we'll be looking into what's in store for the Young Liberals and what the rest of the party can hope to see from them in the future. But before we get into any of that, we'll do a bit of a quick introduction into who Jack and Callum are, the things that you've done with the Young Liberals, and why you sort of ran for chair in the first place.
Jack?
Yep, so my name's Jack Worrall. I'm from Kenilworth in the West Midlands. Before running for chair of YL, I was a two-term English Young Liberals chair, and before that I was the vice chair with Elizabeth Bernard of the Federal Young Liberals. I've spent the last 3 years being on the awkward person on the YL executive, so I thought it would be a good time to sort of step up and with Callum to take the reins. We very much had three main tenets to our platform for our running. Number one was to professionalise the Young Liberals, continue the good work at Tara last year to get the links within the parties from HQ, from the Federal Party, etc., maintain those. Number two was to organise the Young Liberals, get us ready for 2021, get lots of Young Liberals elected there, but also get us ready for the federal internal elections in 2022, as well as all the regional and state internal elections. And that number three was important, to take part in these sort of things where we make sure that everyone knows that what we're doing and what we're trying to push forward in the Young Liberals.
Fantastic.
My name's Callum Robertson. I'm obviously one of the co-chairs of the Young Liberals alongside Jack, but my background's very much from outside of YL. I stood in the 2019 general election, chaired a local party and sat on my retail. And yeah, now I'm the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner candidate for Essex. So very much sort of in the wider party, and sort of Jack and I, when we were having conversations, decided, well, whether we were both going to run, should we run as a team, etc. We were thinking our skill sets complement each other. So Jack's very, very up to speed on the YL stuff. I'm more up to speed on the sort of the wider party stuff, and it was thinking, well, the best thing we can offer YL is a combination of our experiences and expertise, which is sort of how the partnership came to exist.
I was going to say that was probably the big question that I had opening up is why did you decide to run together as co-chairs? Because I wasn't even sure that it was a route that could be taken. But yeah, as you've said, it's a skill set that sort of complements each other incredibly well. And I suppose now that you are both the chairs and have been for a little bit of time now at least, what kind of things have you been doing? What kind of things have you already achieved?
So there's a wide variety. So I think a misnomer about sort of YL and is that it can be quite insular. And it's something that was dispelled within hours of getting an email inbox. You get requests from all sorts of groups. So obviously one's like Lib Dem Podcast, but for example, just before this, I had a meeting with John Bird, so the founder of Big Issue magazine, about a bill he wanted to promote in Parliament and whether he wanted Young Liberals on board. So you get outreach opportunities like that. You have all your meetings with the wider party, and so there's a real plethora of activities to undertake. And I think the roles are what you make of them. And I think Jack and I are both committed to making the most of our year and sort of making YL more successful than it's been for a long time.
Yeah, I'd very much agree with that. I think that we have been getting started. I mean, there's a heck of a lot of admin to do at the start of the term, setting up everyone's emails, setting up Nation Builder access and all of that, which is all thankfully done now. We've gotten all the most of the co-options for all the positions that weren't filled out the way. We've had a meeting already of our executive. We're put together a strategy document for the year, which we hope will pass our executive meeting on the 28th. And we've been really getting going on trying to get into, obviously, federal board where we sit in the steering group, having meetings with Mark Pack. We set up the one with Ed Davey. We've got federal People's Development Committee. Callum attended both of those meetings this week, and we've also, given free rein to the talented people on our executive to do the job they signed up to do. I know that we've already seen our website from a very talented communications officer. She's already overhauled it completely in the short space of time we've had since the election. And we're seeing everyone really get involved and do their job, hit the ground running so far.
No, yeah, Jack is absolutely right. It was interesting going into the exec because there was a slate that ran and some of them got elected, and we were a little bit concerned, being honest, going in that it was going to be divided from the start. But it's been brilliant how everyone's come together and really just pushing in the same direction. And yeah, just how talented the entire exec is, without exception, is genuinely astounding. It's brilliant.
No, it's incredible to hear, because I remember sort of when we did the hustings for chair, and we had Gabriel on, and there was quite a bit of a divide in the two sort of prevailing worldviews of YL going forward. But it is brilliant to hear that the people from Reform YL have settled in and have been included, and you've managed to come together and create something great. I mean, you said that you've got people who are sitting on the federal committees. We've got people, young liberals, sitting in positions where we're making the decisions, which is just, as far as I'm concerned, is fantastic.
This podcast has been sponsored by the Katora Coffee Club, the UK's most environmentally friendly coffee club. There are over 400 independent roasters in the UK, each one crafting coffee in their own unique style. Katora Coffee Club works with some of the best to take you on a voyage of coffee discovery. The Katora Coffee Club delivers ethically sourced and independently roast coffee directly to your door. Each month you'll receive between 2 and 4 bags of coffee and their monthly extract magazine. With Christmas around the corner, their gift boxes are a perfect present for the coffee lovers in your life. Even better for Lib Dem Podcast listeners, use the code BETTERCOFFEE to save 5% on subscriptions and gift boxes for a limited time only. They also have a number of V60 gift sets worth £8 to give away. All Katora Coffee Club boxes are carbon negative and offset the CO2. So why not do some good, enjoy some great coffee, and check out the website www.katoracoffeeclub.com. Now, back to the podcast.
So moving into those decision makings and what you're planning to do, what sort of campaigns will YL be running over the course of the year?
With campaigns, number one is to get young people elected in 2021. I think that's our main focus. We've got an event coming up with 3 wonderful candidates for the Senate and for the coming up, where folk can meet them and folk can ask them questions, etc. And it's our duty really to help them feel confident enough to do the work they need to get elected. I think we will see at least one, if not 2 or 3 of them get elected in 2021. So that's number one. Number two, I think that, this lockdown has provided a lot of challenges to folks' mental health. And I think that that's another campaign that we really have to be on board with. I think that I had a meeting with folk from Oldies, the Lib Dem Association of Lib Dem Engineers and Scientists, and they were really keen to work with us to put forward a campaign on mental health in certainly at universities. I think that's something that we also have to do. I think that the whole issue with students moving home for Christmas then coming back, that does need our attention as well. So that's the three main priorities that I see.
Brilliant.
Very much agree. I think that there's the mix. So there's the sort of public elections. Obviously, that they always will take a very large part of what we're doing, and quite rightly they should. Like Jack was saying about student mental health is really important. Things like the Future Generations Bill, where we've just had a meeting, so there are campaigns that we can take part in without them being our specific campaigns. So there's a massive variety of campaigns to get involved in. I think it's a question of letting our Joel Panwani, who's our campaigns officer, really nice, really talented guy. He's got a real grip. So him and Alicia have been doing some fantastic work, sort of slimming down and basically getting together their priorities for our campaigns. Brilliant. Trusting them to get that right. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, it is crucial at this point in the year, especially, that we look after the mental health of all young people, especially students. I know I've got plenty of friends, and my partner is in university as well, and she's very concerned about what will happen. Is it safe for her to come home? So it's brilliant to know that the YL will be taking a sort of a role in that and making sure that we can stand up for all students across the country. Sort of moving into that, though, I mean, we talk about sort of students and representing the young liberals. Is there a way that the YL will be representing the youth of the United Kingdom as a whole? Are there any plans for that?
I think it's incumbent on us to do so. I think when we're performing well as a branch, there is sort of almost a ricochet effect. So like if we're performing, if we're getting out there, if we're doing sort of media performances, etc., and actually showing to the wider public that the Lib Dems are the party of young people, because we are, then I think that will draw more young people into the party, which will enable us to represent the public better. I think we definitely need to focus on that as a priority.
Yeah, I very much agree. Obviously, I think that we need to be we almost need to say the things that the Federal Party almost can't say. And be that sort of radical voice for what young people want and what young people really need. House buildings are a prime example of that. I think we have the opportunity there to represent the needs of young people in terms of what we need to do to build the houses that young people need to live in. Number one, I think that we can be sort of that radical element which grabs attention and headlines, etc. The party. I think that is a vital role of the Young Liberals.
Fantastic. I mean, it's quite interesting for me because as a young person, I sometimes feel a bit jaded in that, I get sort of very bogged down into the runnings of my local party, into campaigns, into everything. But I had a young member join very recently from my hometown of Morecambe, who was full of enthusiasm. We wanted to do all these things for the Lib Dems. We wanted to represent young people, improve our diversity, and it fills me with renewed hope to hear that YL are also trying to champion these things too. But moving into what YL can sort of offer the young liberals, I'm sort of from a position where I didn't really get involved with YL at all from a younger age. I joined the Lib Dems halfway through my time at university. And my university, I was the only Lib Dem. I was stuck between about 1,700 communists and one person who was right of Farage. So it was quite interesting looking at the debates, peeking out from behind the curtain, like, oh my God. So I think then I moved into being a parish and city councillor and candidate before I even knew what YL was. So I think it's quite important then to know what YL can offer young liberals, and why it's a good method of getting involved in the wider party to start off within the young liberals first.
Yeah, I would very much agree. I think that one part of the work that we really need to do this year is to really supercharge our regions, because a lot of young people, when they don't have the luxury of what I did. I joined a very active local party for the Young Liberals in York, where I could get involved with the University Society. There were regular events of 20 odd people. I think the regions really can offer that sort of almost branch of last resort, where they can put on events, etc., for not only the branches within their regions, but they can also put on events and catch people that ordinarily wouldn't be caught in a branch. I also think that that we really do need to give them the tools, resources that they need to run campaigns where they are. The one thing that really irked me about what the work that we did for the last few years is that whenever we come up with a campaign plan, it would always be the campaigns folk doing it in a silo. They wouldn't really consult that much with my regional chairs, who I chaired at the time. And one of the things I've been keen to talk with Joel about is making sure that any campaign plan that he comes up with is done with the full backing, support, consultation and buy-in of the different regions, because it's only by them getting involved and writing the plan that I think they will have the stake in it to actually deliver it. I know that in the general election, some plan that I saw sent me from Kenilworth all the way down to Brecon, which was a 10-hour journey from public transport, both there and back, which I thought was a tad ridiculous, but could be obviously averted if the regions have the buy-in. So I think that's one thing that we really can offer the Young Liberals this year.
I would say it's sort of, I broadly agree. I think the other aspect is we are often, as a party and actually as Young Liberals, afraid to be self-reflective and afraid to be self-critical. And I think that there are aspects of our workings that we need to frankly improve on, and one of them is engagement. If you look at election turnouts for the Young Liberals elections, that they are shockingly low. I think that it was under 15% this year. That means that 17 in 20 people who are a young member of our party didn't bother to vote. And for people motivated enough to join a political party to not bother to vote in sort of the election for their youth wing, it's frankly, it's not good enough. So I think the question is how we address that, and Jack sort of hits the nail on the head. We need to have invigorated branches and stuff. But I think we also need to integrate our work better with the federal and regional and local parties and state parties. So for example, I joined the local party. I joined my first local party in Peterborough, where I grew up, and the local party was really good at getting me involved with the party itself, but not the Young Liberals, because I was the only Young Liberal there. It wasn't until university I was able to get involved, and I think we need to focus on not just being a university-centric party, because you see it in our membership, and actually, if we get out and actually win over communities and people, then I think a lot of the work, including the work with the fact that we poll badly among young people and stuff like that, a lot of that will change naturally as we start to actually reach out and actually engage with those communities successfully.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the things that I thought was probably one of my favourite moments of the 2019 campaign when I was a candidate, was going into the sixth forms and into the colleges and actually speaking with people who were sort of closer to my age and sort of hearing about what their issues were. So it's fantastic to hear that, as well as going to the universities, but also talking to people who might be going into apprenticeships, people who might be going into the world of work. I think on my local party, I have a gentleman who is still in high school, and I have a gentleman who is who hasn't gone to university, who's come straight out of school into volunteering. So it's good that we're sort of expanding our horizons of what it means to be a young liberal and who we look at as young liberals. moving into more looking to the future, looking to 2021, it's going to be a big year. It's full of big elections up and down the country. How will YL be supporting young candidates? Will they be providing training, or will they be providing sort of advice?
What we're looking at, basically, I think we could fairly describe as a comprehensive package. So we're mixing in young and winning funds. So for those who don't know, for listeners who don't know, young and winning funds is basically where the Young Liberals as a group literally give cash grants or other methods of support to young candidates. And if people take it up, then it can be transformative to paying for literature, to paying for phone banking, etc. So that's one thing we're doing. We're going to be supporting, so we're running events. So, for example, on December 6th, and this is a complete plug of the event, December 6th, we're running an event organised by our events officer, Ale, which has got Chloe Hutchinson, who's a lead candidate on the PR list in South Wales West, Molly Nolan, who's our candidate for Caithness, Sutherland and Easter Ross. I believe that's the technical name, it's long constitutional name. And Ben Laurie, who's the youngest councillor in Scotland and a young person spokesperson on, I think, Angus City Council or Angus County Council. So we've got people, and we want to encourage people to run. It's like Ask Her to Stand, because we have a massive underrepresentation of women in politics. We have an even worse underrepresentation of young people in politics, and young people are legally defined as under 30s. I found that out the other day. And yeah, it's scary. It's absolutely terrifying that we just have very little engagement apart from paper candidacies with actually encouraging young people to stand and win. So that's going to be a huge part of our thing, is getting those young candidates selected for council positions. And then once we've got them selected, making sure we're rallying behind them with phone banking. A lot of the campaigns will be online this year, so making sure we're backing them up on social media, funding, things like advertising, things like that. And if we can pull that together in a package that involves training and support for them, then we could see some fantastic results right across the UK.
Yeah, so we've already opened up the Young and Winning Fund. I think it's on the website. And before the 2021s were completely scrapped, I know that we had the most diverse range of young people from all different backgrounds and lots of folk from underrepresented groups applying, etc. So we are really on track to have a very diverse range of folk we're going to help. I think it's also important that we, do more to try and get the information of who is standing. I know that that's one thing that Joel really wants to do this year. He wants to get the information of who's target seat candidates for the Young Liberals in these elections, and then really be there to push, do you need our help, what do you need, and then responding to that rather than the more, top-down approach of, that this is the help that we can offer, we'll just throw money at you, because a lot of the times people don't need money, they need support on the ground or support with phone banking, etc. And I think that's something that we need to be better at doing, more adapt more to the needs of the folk running rather than the less responsive approach.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously I think from my background in ALDC, we used to every year we'd send out a please tell us your candidates, please tell us who they are and what they're doing. But it's interesting to see that while we'll be taking a very sort of hands-on approach, in that once you then know who the candidates are, you'll be going up to them and asking them how you can help them. I think I'm standing myself in Preston North in the county council elections in Lancashire next year. So in terms of what I'm trying to think, what things I would need, because I think in some places you're right. You need the phone bankers. You need people who are good with social media. It's going to be a very atypical election campaign. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether we will be able to go and knock as many doors as we'd like to. I know that's my preferred method of campaigning, but it's interesting to see. And I'm following on from that, just about what the Young Liberals as an organisation can offer young people within their local parties, within their regional parties, within their AOs and SAOs. I think on our exec, for instance, in Lancaster and Morecambe, there are 2 young people on the exec. How do we best go about ensuring that we have more youth representation, that we maybe have young people's officers or young people standing as diversity officers or LGBT plus officers in local parties, regional parties, etc.?
So I think the best method really is for folk to get involved with the different things that we're doing in terms of we're going to put on a lot of training this year. I think that's safe to say, and we're going to work with LDC and we're going to work with the training department at HQ to deliver a lot of that. I think that the number one thing that we can give to young people who are looking to run in regional, state, local party elections is confidence. I think that folk really do, young people in our party are some of the most talented people in our party. I've had the pleasure for the last 3 years to work with a lot of them. I've seen the hard work that they do. And it's just about telling them, it doesn't matter that, you're 18, 19, 20 or even younger. You have the talent in you to be not only the youth rep, but all the different reps as well. You can be the secretary, treasurer, or membership officer, etc. And I think that's a large part of what we've tried to do in the English Young Liberals last year and this year now. So that the elections for that are open, and we've really had a large effort to try and get a lot of young people onto to run. And I'm hoping at least a good few of them will be returned, touch wood. And I think that the process of giving those folk a group to talk about the issues, to talk about, a safe space to ask all the questions that you need to ask, but also a group that is supportive and is encouraging folk. That I think that is the most vital thing that stops people from running, the lack of confidence to do it, despite their hefty talent.
No disagreeing with me in any of that. I think it is also, I think we being honest, have a way to go in convincing the party that we're not just there to be a tokenistic youth officer. When I was at uni, my uni local party where we ran the council ended up making me local party chair, and I ended up overseeing the election campaign there, and it's only because I put the graft in that they trust it. And I think it's supporting young people to make them more credible as well, because there is a natural assumption. It's wrong that the barrier exists, but there's a barrier to overcome in terms of getting young people trusted, because there is an assumption in life, as you can see it in many job interviews and all over the world, like that wisdom and age is an absolute with sort of more advanced age, and actually that's not always the case. And it's giving them the confidence, but actually it's convincing them that the local parties as well, and that's by going out and engaging with them. So providing training on how to utilise young people providing events at regional conferences, local party speaking events, all of it, like the works. And actually, in the age of COVID, it's with everything online, it's easier than ever to do a local party panel event and engaging young people. It's easier to deliver training more than ever. If we can do that, then I think we'll be removing a lot of the systematic barriers by just making ourselves more accessible to the party and vice versa.
Agreed. I think yeah, you're right. Especially with the stigma, there is a bit of an assumption that because you are young, you are inexperienced, which isn't always the case. And I think where would it be best for say you're a young person listening to this podcast, or you're a mentor of a young person tuning in. Where would the best place to go to get involved be? I know that there is a Discord for young liberals, which I've tried to get into, I think I'm still awaiting in the lobby, just sort of twiddling my thumbs, trying to get in and get involved. But aside from that, are there any other sort of places?
But I think the forum, the Young Liberals forum on Facebook, is the number one place where a lot of the information is descended onto young people, and is the place to bring all these issues to talk about, local party elections, etc. That is the number one place where it is a forum for young people, run by young people, and they're. It's one of the most. It's one of the Young Liberals Forum was brought in a few years ago to replace Chatbox, which is quite infamous within the party a few years ago for not great reasons. And the creation and implementation of Forum was one of my greatest achievements, because it really did clean up the online space to make it a lot more inclusive and friendly and welcoming for new people as well, especially those from underrepresented groups. And I think that is the place where folks should go if they want to get involved and want to have the information of what we do and how they can get more involved with us.
We're aware that a lot of students and young people are pretty lonely at the moment. They're not able to go and see their friends. They're not able to go out and socialise, go to the pub if they're over 18. If they're not over 18, then they shouldn't be going to the pub. But the opportunities to socialise are limited. After all of the events, without exception, they're turning into online socials for us, where you can go and meet young, like-minded people. I mean, and it's fantastic. Some of these events we've been to, they have people I've never met or heard of before, and that's fantastic. That's new people we're engaging from all over the country, from Exeter to London to Newcastle, like all over the country. And that, I can't speak highly enough of getting involved via that, because it's easy to misinterpret things online, so on Facebook or on Twitter. But actually, a face-to-face Zoom chat at the moment is one of the best ways to get involved. And with those events, you can come listen to an event, chat about the event. I mean, one of the ones the other day, the social just sort of trundled on until about 2 a.m. And people were happy to stay along. And we left the room open for them, because why not? Because people want to hang out and socialise. And if people want to get involved by coming along to an event online, then please do. Because it can be really, really good to get involved and sort of meet like-minded people like that.
Not only is YL a body for, making change, but it's also a community, and it is really, really important that, especially at the moment when, everything's quite down, we are in December now, that we get young people in and, just make a friend. I mean, talk to somebody about politics. Everyone's got gripes at the moment. Everyone has things they want to change. And it's the perfect sort of the avenue to go down to discuss. So I think moving into our sort of final segments now, what is the big plan for the future? Where would you like to see YL be in a year's time, maybe even in 5 years' time? Where would you like the organisation to be? Where would you like it to be seen? How would you like it to be seen?
So I think that this is sort of it's a difficult question, because I think 5 years' time with 1 year exec terms, it's difficult to plot for the future, and it also I think it'd be quite wrong to try and plot for someone else's future. But certainly for our term, like when we're handing over to the next group of people, and there are brilliantly talented people coming through. Like genuinely, there are some. I mean, I'm just thinking, God, if I was as mature and with it at 17 as you are, then God, you've got a very bright future ahead of you. It's brilliant. I think the best thing we can do is leave YL in a state where its members are more engaged, where we've got more young councillors, where the party takes us more seriously, where we're financially secure, and where we're running really good events and we've got high member engagement. And the elections, I think, next year will be sort of, if anything, a litmus test for that. If we can change our turnout from 15% to 30% to plus, then I'll be exceptionally happy. And I think that's the sort of measurement I'll be judging myself against. Just because I think that's a tangible sort of key performance indicator. And a young and engaged party getting active both within YL and at the wider party means that when it comes to your council election in Mayo, and then when it comes to my police and crime commissioner election, it means we have more of a chance of doing well. We have more of a chance of winning. I think that's what we're about in the party.
Yeah, I'd also say that I would really like to see us having passed the age range changes, which we've been talking about for a good few years now. I think that we've had the trial, we've gone through all the consultation. I think it's about time that we did pass it, and if we can be the folk who finally get it over the line, I think that would be a real boost for us, because it would, I think, help change the culture of YL to be more to be less university centric and more young professionals coming into us and helping run it. I think that would be a great boost for us. I think that also by the end of our term, I want us to be in the place where in 2022 there are several young Liberals that are ready to take hold of the 2022 internal elections, get their seats on them, and really take this party by storm and contribute to all of these different committees. I think that would be the best use of young people to get involved and to be on these federal committees, because there's so many folk who can offer so much.
The final, I think, thing we should measure ourselves against is if we can get Chloe and Molly across the line in Wales and Scotland respectively. I think that would probably do more for youth politics in the UK than most other things in the past decade. Getting two young, exceptionally talented women elected to national parliament. And yeah, I think that's something YL will be strongly pushing for.
It would be fantastic. I mean, if they're up for it, I'd be more than happy to have them on the show. But yeah, it's very reassuring and quite sort of affirming as a young person to hear you talk so highly of our young people in the party, that you've got such a great respect for all their talent and for everything that they're doing. And I'm very excited to see what will happen in the future with YL and with what our young people are doing. Because, looking at some of the young people, as you said, Callum, some of the people that come into the party at such a young age, they're so switched on. They've got all these plans. They've got all these ideas for the future. And it's brilliant and it's fantastic. I like you said,
it's terrifying. It's terrifying how switched on they are. But yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, but terrifying.
I'm like you, though. I wish I was that switched on at 17,
Same.
It's incredible. But yeah, I think I'm quite hopeful then for the future of YL. It seems like it's in fantastic hands, and I think for sort of the people listening who were in YL, who are now no longer in YL. Well, you might be soon in YL. Is it moving from 26 to 30?
Yes.
There is no escape.
There's no escape. You can't leave. In a couple of years, it'll keep changing.
Yeah.
It is the Hotel California of British Parliament. That's a reference that brings everyone in.
Oh dear, it's just quite bad because it's probably one of the only bands I don't like. The Eagles. Only controversial opinions here on the Lib Dem pod. But yeah, that's fantastic. I think just to finish off, we'll do a bit of a rundown of how best we can get people to come in and contact you. Of course, we can find Young Liberals on Twitter at Young Liberals UK, and on Facebook if you search for Young Liberals. And if you do like to do a little bit of a plug for the two of you.
Yeah, you can follow me on @Worrall Jack. Email me jack.worrall@youngliberals.uk. Message me on Facebook. I'm fairly approachable on any social media platform. You can even send me a carrier pigeon and I'll respond.
I'm not really a bird person, so carrier pigeon is off limits for me. But yeah, email callum.robertson@youngliberals.uk, or yeah, get in contact via Twitter at c.robertson_LD, I believe. But yeah, get in contact. I'd say the more people that do, the better we are as an organisation. There's strength in numbers there.
Fantastic. Well, Thank you both very, very much for joining me today. I'm so excited to see where the Young Liberals will go next and how much of a role the group's going to play in the wider party in 2021 and beyond. Thank you very much to everybody who is listening on your favourite podcast streaming service, everyone who's watching on YouTube. I'm Owen Lambert, and you've been listening to the Lib Dem Podcast.